Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. This is Joy IGHONOJIE, and today's video is just going to be talking about the changes that have been made to the visa and the immigration status in the UK. We've sort of heard by this time now that the UK has installed some law. They are going to be doing some, implementing some law by January to the visas, on the visa status, to curb the next migration, because they feel that lots of people, like too many people, are coming into the country and it's getting really too much. So they said, I'm going to be reading from their website because I don't want to miss anything or say anything wrongly, which might be interpreted wrongly in any way. So they said, there have been a record of about 745,000 over the last year, like the year ending in June, that there've been a record of 745,000 in total of people coming into the country, like people coming in from other countries into UK. They feel it's too much and they want to cut it. They are looking for a way to cut it and limit it and reduce the net migration, just so only the people that they really want, like that are really vital to the workforce, that they cannot do without, that will be allowed in. And even for those people, they are not allowed to bring in their families and all that. All right, I've just gone over it, like I've said it. So the skilled workers, whoever you are, whatever you're doing in the UK, if you're coming in from another country, you're not allowed to bring in your dependents, your family, your wife, your husband, your children. You're not allowed to bring them in unless you're doing a postgraduate research course in the university here. Say you're doing a postgraduate research course, it's not just any course, you're not just any student, and you're not just any worker and all that. So even skilled workers, even those that are working as nurses, doctors and all that, as I can see from here, they said they are not allowed to. I'll be reading it out in a few moments, but that they are not allowed to bring in their families, their dependents and all that. So at this time, every malam to your own kettle. So if you have dependents back home and you feel like you can't leave them behind, you better don't come. You better don't apply for a job to come into the UK, because they will not grant them visas. There will be no visa for them to come and join you here. So this is the law that will be implemented from January. And if you have any family currently, say you're already in the UK, now is the time to bring them, or else you might not be allowed to bring them in from January next year, January 2024. All right, so this is what's happening currently. And they said this, like I said, this top visa rule is meant to like cut migration and reduce it. And then that if you're a skilled worker, working in the UK, your salary have to be like, or applying for a job in the UK, you're a skilled worker applying for a job in the UK, your salary have to be up to £38,700 per year for you to be eligible to be given a visa or be granted a visa. All right, so say for instance, normally before now or currently, because we're still in 2023, currently, if your salary is up to 26,700, you can come into the UK. If your salary is less than that, you can come. If it's more than that, you can come in. But like 26,700 per year was allowed before, but now is now 38,700, no longer 26,200. So before now or now, they normally allow those that earn like £26,200 per year to come into the UK as a skilled worker, or anything you do. So what is a skilled worker? A skilled worker is just like those that have skills, whether it's from the university, you acquired it, or from normal skills gathering and all that. As long as you have a certificate for it, you have experience and all of that, you're regarded as a skilled worker. For instance, a nurse, a midwife, a doctor, a carpenter, and then like anything you are, driver and all of that, as long as you have a skill, you have a certificate, you're allowed to come into the UK to work, you're allowed to apply for a job, you'll be granted a visa, you'll be granted certificate of sponsorship by a company and all of that for you to come into the UK. But these days, it said, your salary have to be up to £38,700 per year, which is really high, and sort of, I don't know, it's very difficult to get to that level, to get a job that will give you that much amount of money per year, like much an amount of salary per year. So that is the difficulty in it. And although there is a good news to it, which is the fact that crucially, they said the language they use here is that they said, however, crucially, health and care workers who account for almost half people on work visas will be exempted from this increase, meaning that those health and care workers that are crucially needed, like the nurses, doctors, and all that. So they are the health and care workers. They will be exempted from this rule, meaning that even if their salary is still 26,000, 28,000, they are still allowed to come in. But other skilled workers are not allowed to come in unless their salary is up to £38,700 per year. I don't know if you understand me. So if your salary is not up to £36,700 per year, as a skilled worker, you're not allowed to come in unless you're a nurse, you're a midwife, you're a doctor, you are a health worker that is really, really needed in the, in the workforce. So they don't want the workforce to suffer, definitely, but they're also at the same time looking for a way to curb the migration, reduce the number of people coming into the country because of the number that have just been realized and all that. So another rule which is sort of applying to everybody, I think I mentioned it before about dependents, is also applying to the health and care workers as well. Like if you're a health and care worker, nurse, doctor, even though you're allowed to come into the country with a salary of 26,200 or less or more, you are not allowed to bring in your dependents. You are not allowed to bring in your husband, your wife, your children. All right. You're not allowed to bring, they are not going to give them visa. So before now, they used to, allow you to bring in your dependent. There is a space for certificate or sponsorship for, your dependent to come in. But from January 2024, this will no longer be allowed. So if you're a health and social care worker, you are a nurse, or doctor or whatever you are, and you feel, you can't leave your family behind, there is no way you will live without them in another country, then you better not come in. You better not apply for the job because they are not going to give you your dependents, the visa. Just another way of putting it, I don't know. Like, this is really, really difficult, especially for like some people that have family that they've been with for a while and all of that. It's different if you don't have a family before back home and you can easily migrate and all that. But it's really, really difficult, and I can see the pain or imagine or feel the pain of the people that are involved, not being with your family and all of that. It's really hard. It's really, really hard. And yeah, what was the other one? The minimum income requirement for family visas to increase as well. So that the minimum income required for British citizens who want to bring a foreign family member or partner to live with them in the UK is rising from 18,000 to 38,700 per year, I think. So this one is no longer for skilled worker now, that if you're a British citizen and you want to bring a family member, a foreign family member, the income for them to be having, the minimum income required for you to be having is no longer 18,600 per year. It's not 38,000. You have to be earning up to 38,700 pounds per year to be able to bring someone in. From the interpretation, I'm going to be dropping the link of these websites as well on the description of this video, just so you go in there, have a look at it yourself and read it to your interpretation. Well, an estimated 70,000 people came into the UK on family visas in the year ending June 2023. So they feel like so many people, as much as 70,000 people, have come into the UK based on family visa. So they are trying to reduce this. So if you're a British citizen, like you now have your passport, you have your British passport and all of that, you feel you want to bring your family, that you have to be earning up to 38,700 as well for you to be able to bring in your family. Let me make it clear. Let me try to make it clear. So the first one I mentioned earlier was for health and social care workers. Like, if you're a health and social care worker, even if you're earning 26,200 and all that, you can bring your family in. You can no longer bring your family in, but you can come and work. All right, so you can come and work with a salary of 26,200 pounds per year as a nurse, for instance. Let me use a nurse. So you're a nurse, you're applying from Ghana, you're applying from Nigeria to come and work in the UK. You are allowed to come. Other skilled workers are not allowed to come because they have to be earning up to 38,700 pounds to be able to come into the country. But you as a nurse, you are allowed to come in with a salary of 26,200 pounds into the country because you are a crucial health worker. Like you're crucial. Your job is crucial to the workforce. But you cannot bring your family in, you cannot bring your dependents in. Even if you can come, you can't bring your dependents in from January. But this second part now is saying that if you're a British citizen, say you've had your passport, you've lived here for 5-6 years, you've gained your British passport, you're now like a citizen of the country, you can only bring your family members in if you're earning up to £38,700. All right, so if you're earning less than that, it used to be like the 18,000, about 18,600 before, but if you're earning up to £38,000, that's when you can bring your family in as a British citizen. All right, don't misquote it, as a British citizen. I hope you understand then. And then there is a ban on care workers bringing family dependents to the UK. We've talked about that before, I guess. What my migration change have on the care on the care sector. Yeah, some companies, they said some companies were also like care companies and all that were complaining that some people might not want to come into the country to work if this rule is set in place and all that, but the UK government thinks otherwise. I think they said they think otherwise, and they feel that it wants to stop immigration in the country, that it feels that some people will want to still come because they need to and all that. So let me look for the way the place is saying that, just so I can read it. All right, so it says care companies are worried that the ban on dependents will put off potential recruits from coming to the UK, making staff shortage worse. The care companies are saying that some people might not want to leave their dependents behind, and they might not want to come to the UK because of this, because they don't want to leave their family behind, of course. And this will make the healthcare sector, the staff shortage to become worse and all that, to still suffer like as what they were trying to prevent before. But the government says it believes there will still be high demand from overseas workers for care roles in the UK, even if individuals cannot bring family members with them. So the government is thinking otherwise, that yeah, even if people cannot bring their family, some people will still want to come and maybe be visiting them from home or do another thing, but they will still want to come. So that's what the government feels. We've not seen the impact of this law yet, because it's going to be taking place from January 2024. So until then, before we're able to see, the impact it's having on the health sector, on the, workforce overall, and then they will see if it's something they want to maintain or review or any of that. So yeah, that's that. The second line here says health surcharge to rise. So the annual fee visa holders must pay to use the NHS, known as the immigration health surcharge, will rise from £624 to £1,035. So those people that usually pay NHS fee, like a payee, like health insurance fee and all that, like those people that were dependent before, and or those that are on the normal visa, not health and social care workers now. Those that are on other visas and all that used to pay health surcharge fee before, which is the national health insurance fee, that used to pay £624 before, will now be paying £1,035 from January. All right. And then student review of graduate visa. So if another law is that a graduate visa allows someone to stay in the UK for at least 2 years after they successfully complete their course before. But now it will no longer be like that. That the government has launched a review of this visa rules to prevent what is called abuse of the system. So before, more than 98,000 graduate visas were granted in the year to June. But so because of the fact that the year from last year, June 2023, more than 98,000 graduate visas were granted, they feel like this is too much. They want to cut it, and the government has now already announced plans to limit the number of students who can bring family members with them to the UK. The changes will come into force in January, remove the rights of international students to bring dependents unless they are on postgraduate research course. I think we talked about this before. Students will also no longer be allowed to switch onto work visa before their studies are completed. So students will no longer be allowed to switch to work visa until they've completed their two years and they've completed their 2 years studies and all. So that's the end of this. I'm going to be dropping the link in the description. Let me know what you think about this law, how it is affecting you, how it is not affecting you, if it's affecting any member of your family. To be fair, I don't know what to think of this, because I I do have families back home as well, and this is going to impact them definitely. I do have friends as well back home, and yeah, let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like and share with your friends, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.